So the barber trims my beard all nice, like an artist. Now, I didn't tell him to do that. I wanted the beard gone. So then I went home and shaved it off completely after I was done. I felt horrible.
The passion.
Rafael Devers is the biggest contract in franchise history. He needs to be a leader for this Red Sox team.
The opinions on all your favorite teams.
Are the Patriots close to playoff contention? Yes. Are they close to Super Bowl contention? Hell no.
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Hello, is this thing on? What's up, everybody? It is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Happy NCAA tournament opening day. This is my favorite day in sports, and tomorrow is my second favorite day in sports. Super Bowl Sunday is great, but these 2 days are the best days in sports. Nonstop watching from noon until midnight. A bunch of games, always great games, down to the wire, sometimes some great upsets, following your brackets. This is what we live for as sports fans. You can get in, as always, on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line, 802-585-3026, your locally owned Napa stores in Waterbury and Morrisville. The show is brought to you, obviously, as it is every day, by Fecto Homes. So let's just waste no time and get right to it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go. We have a full show tonight, all 90 minutes, by the way, and we're going to get you ready, continued for UVM and Marquette with former NBA player, former Marquette star Tony Smith. He's going to be with us in about 15 minutes, and I'll give you the latest updates on everything happening around the tournament right now. We are locked in a very good battle with just about a minute to go. 5th-seeded San Diego State is leading 12th-seeded College of Charleston 58-53, but Charleston's about to shoot free throws at the other end to try to get that deficit down to 3. So that's been a trendy upset pick as Charleston there. I had somebody who, off the record, it wasn't on the air, someone I was just talking to who, knows their stuff, works at ESPN. They said to me, I think College of Charleston could get to the Final Four. Like, that's how good they are. But here they are, down by 5 with 54 seconds to go, shooting free throws, and they missed the first, so now all they can do is get it to 4. Around the rest of the tournament right now, we're at the half with Arkansas leading Illinois 36-26. We're just out of the half where second-seeded Arizona is getting all it can handle from 15th-ranked Princeton, 37-32. Arizona has the lead there. Games that have gone final today. Alabama won as a 1 seed over Texas A&M Corpus Christi, winning 96-75. Kansas beat Howard 96-68. Missouri shot the lights out against Utah State, winning 76-65. Maryland survived West Virginia by 2, and the big upset of the day is Furman, the 13 seed, over Virginia, 68-67. I tell you all of these things right now, one, to just keep you appraised of what's happening, but 2, to tell you that UVM should go into tomorrow's matchup with Marquette with confidence, right? We all assume that the 15 seed is going to get blown out. We all assume that, but today's results should show you that Vermont has nothing to fear, has nothing to be scared of, has nothing to be nervous about, and should go in with some confidence. Look at what's happened today. Furman, a school that a lot of people have never heard of, took down Virginia of the ACC. If that can happen in a 4-13 matchup, why can't it be you in a 2-15 matchup? Princeton, out of the Ivy League, is going toe-to-toe right now with Arizona out of the Pac-12 and has Arizona fearful of what's going to happen right now. If UVM is watching this, they can easily think that could be us. We saw Howard giving Kansas the business for the first half. That game was, tied with 4 minutes left in the half. We saw what happened last year with St. Peter's getting the Elite Eight, beating Kentucky and several others on their road to the Elite Eight. Vermont should go into tomorrow confident. I'm not saying they're going to win. I'm not saying that they won't get blown out. But the results here in this first hours of the tournament and the history of the tournament tell you that it is possible, and that just because you are a low seed from a low ranked conference doesn't mean that you can't compete with the big boys and beat them. Furman over Virginia, St. Peter's last year over Kentucky, Charleston here out of the SoCon. Now, San Diego State's not a super big dog, but a 12 seed here, right with a 5. Princeton out of the Ivy League within 7 of Arizona, who's, picked by some to win the national championship. If you're Vermont, you absolutely have to be thinking, we can do this. Doesn't mean you're going to, but you have to be thinking positively that you can. And these results here today are full of little guys hanging with the big guys, and in one case, beating the big guy. And that's how you have to think if you are Vermont. That's how I'd be thinking. If I were a college athlete right now, and I'm UVM, and I'm watching these games, and I'm seeing what's happening, I'm thinking, whoa. All right, so last year a 15 beat a 2 and went to the Elite 8. This year, a 14 or 13 is already beaten a 4. 15 is playing right with a 2, just like us. We saw 16 nearly even at the half against a 1. Why couldn't it be us? Why not us? That's how I would be thinking today. So, in my mind, I'm kind of like, I'm a little bit happy that UVM is playing on Friday because it gives them a day's worth of results to see and to prove that we're not going to be as overmatched as everybody says we are. If Furman can beat Virginia, why can't we beat Marquette? If Princeton can stay with Arizona, why can't we stay with Marquette? If we can just stay with Marquette, then what happens? It's the Brady Farkas Show, brought to you by Fecto Homes here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. The opening thoughts brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They are, and the Swanton Lumber, they're online at sticksandstuff.com. I do want to just bring this question to the room. I'm feeling like a little bit of a hypocrite. And what I mean is this. I kind of miss the old way that we used to watch the NCAA tournament. And the old way we used to watch the NCAA tournament is a lot like the NFL Red Zone, which I hate. So I'm feeling like a little bit of a hypocrite. But if you were like what we have now, and I'm curious if anybody else feels this way, once I kind of explain it to you, 802-585-3026. What we have now is the NCAA tournament game. The first game is at 12:15, and the next one's at 12:40, and then they're all just kind of scattered, and they're all staggered, and they're all on different channels. And we have the ability to watch every game, which is great. But one game's on CBS, and one's on TNT, and one's on TBS, and then one's on True TV, which none of us ever know what channel it is. So it puts a lot of the onus on us. All of the onus is on us to switch over and get to the ending and look at the little score ticker. Now we got to find True TV again. And now, all right, now we're going back. So on the positive side, now we can watch every game in its entirety. On the negative, it's on us to go and kind of find everything. Back in the day, for this was going 10 years ago at this point. The way it used to be was this NFL Red Zone style broadcast where every game was just on CBS. And you had one block that started entirely at 12:15 and one block that started entirely at 2:45 and one block that started entirely at 7 and one block that started entirely at 10. And CBS had every game. And then the CBS broadcast would dictate what you watched. All right, this game's good. We're going to switch over. All right, this game is coming to the end. We're going to switch over. This game is going to be an upset. We're going to switch over. Okay, this game's in the last possession. We're going to switch you over. I kind of miss that. But at the same time, I hate the NFL Red Zone channel. The NFL Red Zone channel that just bebops all around you to every game. I can't stand that. I like in the NFL to just watch a game in its entirety. I like to watch the Patriots, and I do not want it interrupted. I like to watch the Seahawks, and I do not want it interrupted. But in the NCAA tournament, I'm kind of yearning for the old days where we would just bounce around from game to game. So I'm feeling like a little bit of a hypocrite. And I'm curious if anybody else kind of misses those days of the broadcast, because I do. I thought it was great to watch a game and then have Greg Gumbel back in the studio and take you to, okay, we got 3 minutes left here and Syracuse has the ball and they're down by 2 against Vermont. And now we're going to watch the rest of this one. All right, now this one is Duke is up by 5 and we're going to go. I kind of like that. And it didn't put the onus on us to have to know what channel TBS, TNT, True TV are. It hasn't been that way for like a decade. So I'm kind of reaching back into just nostalgia. But for me, that was fun. College of Charleston, so much for going to the Final Four. They are beaten by San Diego State, 63-57. I think I had Charleston. I have like 3 brackets this year. I think I had Charleston winning in at least one of them and maybe even 2 of them. But nonetheless, they are out. So congrats if you had the Aztecs of San Diego State moving on. Text line is open, 802-585-3026. Bob in Burlington says, Brady, you should be deported if you don't like the NFL Red Zone channel. I don't like the NFL Red Zone channel. Like, I have an individual team that I like and support. And on Sunday, I want to watch every second of the Patriots game. And I do not want you to move me in and out to Detroit and Chicago, which I don't care about, or Tennessee and Jacksonville, which I don't care about. I don't care about those games. I care about the Patriots, and that's it. And then in the late window, I care about the Seahawks. I don't want to see Vegas and the Broncos. I don't want to see the Chargers and whoever. So I like my teams. I think the NFL Red Zone channel is great if you don't have a team and you just kind of like football. The NFL Red Zone channel is great if you are a fantasy football player and you want to just see who's scoring to know if it's your guy. I don't play fantasy football, so that doesn't interest me. And it's probably great if you're a gambler because you can always keep track of what's happening points-wise, but if I'm going to gamble, I'll just kind of throw 10 on a game and set it and forget it, and I don't need to follow it that closely. So now I'm good. I am good without the NFL Red Zone channel. I've never needed it. I might have only ever watched one Sunday ever on the Red Zone channel. Not a fan. Now the text line's blowing up further about that. Texter says, Brady, you don't play fantasy football? ? No, I don't. I don't like fantasy football. I gave up fantasy football like 8 years ago, and I gave it up for good. Fantasy football is too fluky to me, and I got tired of that. I love fantasy baseball. I'm in like 4 leagues. I do it every year. It's one of my favorite things. It's a full season. I think it requires a lot of skill to be good at fantasy baseball. Fantasy football to me is a lot of luck and frustration, and I don't want to deal with it anymore. I got tired of picking running backs early who had their touchdowns vultured by quarterbacks and fullbacks. I got tired of of playing the wrong wide receiver. I got tired of having 4 guys on the bye week at the same time. I got tired of all the injuries in general where your first round pick is out and then you're screwed. Tired of the waiver wire. I don't want any of it anymore. I'm done with fantasy football. Absolutely done with fantasy football. And I don't know that I'm going to go back. Fantasy baseball, yes. Fantasy football, no thank you. One more texter. This one is Reed in Richmond. Brady, I kind of like what you're talking about, too. I hate having to flip through the channels, but if they did this, would we be able to watch all of the UVM game? That's a good question. That I don't remember, to be honest with you. Like, we would get the UVM game, obviously, being the local team, but if it's not close, then they probably would have just bumped you to something that was close. And that would be bad. I do like under today's lineup, or alignment rather, you can watch every game. That's good. I'm happy to have the ability to watch every game, but there was nothing quite like back in the day when you would just get a chance to have them tell you, okay, we're going here, we're going there, this game's close, that game's coming down to the wire, this team's got the ball, that we're in the booth review here. Like that was fun. Now, I didn't have a team growing up, so maybe I didn't care bouncing all around. And maybe now I would have because I want to watch the entirety of UVM. But, I was longing a little bit today for the nostalgia of just, the old coverage where every game, where you had 4 games going off at one time rather than kind of this staggered start time for everything. Texter says, Phil says, Brady, you follow your favorite quarterback, Mac Jones. No, I have to watch Mac Jones. I'm forced to watch Mac Jones and the Patriots offense, but I'm still going to support him, and I don't need the NFL Red Zone channel. I like Scott Hansen. I think he's good at what he does, and the Red Zone channel is unique. And if you're a fantasy guy or a gambling guy, or you don't have a team, that's great. I just am not those guys. So I have teams, and I want to watch everything that they do, and I want to be able to know for the show everything the Patriots do for you. I don't need to be without them for long stretches of the game because we're seeing what's happening in Kansas City and Houston. All right. NCAA tournament talk continues on. The UVM men's basketball team tomorrow afternoon, 2:45, Columbus, Ohio. We are, 21 hours away from that matchup exactly. Catamounts take it on Marquette. And joining us now is a Marquette legend. He spent a decade in the NBA as well. He's in the Marquette Athletics Hall of Fame. It is Tony Smith. He's also on the Marquette radio broadcast these days. Tony, thank you for being with us. How are you?
Brady, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. I'm doing well. Excited for Catamount Hoops tomorrow, but over the last 3 days or so, we've learned just how good Marquette is. What do you think is this Golden Eagles squad biggest strength?
Yeah, I think they have been on a good run. They're playing well together. I think their strength is just their ability to defend at a high level for an entire 40 minutes. I mean, they always defend well. That seems to be their calling card. They have ups and downs offensively at times, but you can always counter their defense, and I think that's where they're hanging their hat. So I would say that is their top strength.
We talked yesterday to Gabe Neitzel over at ESPN in Milwaukee, who's also part of the broadcast team on the pre and post game. And he said that Marquette is, I don't know if dependent is the right word, but they're really, really good at forcing turnovers. And that's really one of their calling cards defensively. Am I crazy to think, though, that UVM is not going to be rattled by what they do defensively? UVM, depending on what metric you look at, is top 5 in the country in terms of holding on to the ball. And they have a very veteran-laden team in which they're going to start, 4 seniors. So I feel good about their chances here to hold on to the ball. Am I crazy for that?
No, I don't think you are. I think there's been some games that Marquette has not been able to turn teams over, but I don't think that's an end-all be-all for Marquette. They don't have to turn teams over to be successful. They just have to defend, force tough shots. And the good news for Marquette, I guess the bad news for Vermont is usually Marquette has a rebounding weakness, and that's something that a smaller Vermont team cannot take advantage of. They're also not known for their ability to offensive rebound, so that's not going to be a problem for Marquette where typically it is.
I don't know exactly how to feel about this. On one hand, I'm happy Marquette's not a team full of 7-footers because UVM is a very small team. On the other hand, it seems like Marquette has a lot of interchangeable parts on defense, and Vermont has had a really hard time with teams that just switch everything in terms of trying to create offense. So I don't know how exactly I feel about this. I think, though, UVM is going to have a hard time if Marquette's just going to be able to switch every screen and dribble handoff.
Yeah, they will. I mean, you're going to have to get Vermont's going to have to get some penetration to kind of break down that Marquette defense. And you guys got a pretty good point guard in Penn. He has the ability to break down defenders off the dribble, and that's where teams get in trouble. And not just Marquette, any team gets into trouble when they have an opposing guard or opposing player that gets in their paint and is able to kick out, because Vermont also has a lot of three-point shooters, so I'm sure Marquette is going to be extra aware of giving up penetration, dribble penetration, and allowing for kick-out threes.
When we think about what needs to happen for UVM to stay in this game or pull an upset, I think at what point does the higher seed start to get nervous? Does Vermont need to be in this game at halftime? Do they need to be in it with 10 minutes to go? At what point does the pressure set in on the higher seeded favorite?
This is Marquette just absolutely went through the gauntlet of the Big East tournament, where the first game against St. John's, they were in major trouble. They had to come back and win that game. And then the second game, obviously, was also a tight ball game. So they've been in tough ball games all year long. They've been down at half several times this season. I think they're 8-4 in games that they've been down at halftime. So unfortunately for Vermont, I don't believe there's going to be a nervous factor with this Marquette team. Shaka has these guys kind of seasoned pretty well. And again, their record and their track record, not necessarily wins, losses, but just being in tough games all year long where they've been down in certain situations, they just do not get rattled. I've been likening them to Jason from the Friday the 13th movies. They just keep coming, right? No matter they're down 10, they just keep coming. They're up 5, they just keep coming. And that's their methodical approach. And again, it all goes back to what I said initially. They know they hang their hat on the defensive end, and if they know they defend at a high level defensively, they're going to hit some shots eventually. You know, you got guys who can score. They've had 6 different guys be the leading scorer this year multiple times. So it can come from a lot of places, and it can come at any moment. They just have to continue to defend at a high level.
Tony Smith, former Marquette University basketball standout, former NBA product, also now on the Marquette broadcast team on the radio side of things. He's here with us now on the Brady Farkas show on WDEV. You know, I've seen the underseeded teams in this tournament take varied approaches to how they want to try to pull an upset. I've seen underseeded teams take the air out of the ball and try to limit possessions and play a 55-53 game. And I've seen UVM in the past just want to run up and down and shoot 35 threes and see what they can hit. What do you think exactly is the best strategy for Vermont tomorrow?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously the equalizer is hitting a lot of 3-point shots. That's where you're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble if you're Marquette, if you allow a lot of dribble penetration and a lot of kickouts. And I think, again, Marquette's defensive strategy, they typically switch a lot. And without Vermont being able to take advantage of that inside, now they're going to have to rely on breaking guys down off the dribble. And Marquette has some outstanding perimeter defenders. So that's going to be their – I mean, it's happened before. It's not like they haven't given up a lot of threes in games. They have done that before, but I think that would be the path for them. They have to create dribble penetration and get those 3-point kickouts because, again, Vermont has several guys who shoot the three very, very well.
You know, we know it's unlikely. The history of the tournament says it's unlikely. The Vegas odds say it's unlikely, but that said, it does happen. We saw St. Peter's as a 15 seed last year get all the way to the Elite Eight. So what is the vulnerability on this Marquette team?
Yeah, again, like I say, I've seen them be tested all year long with different scenarios. I mean, you've had the Big East Player of the Year, Tyler Kolek, who's by the way not the leading scorer. I think you guys have a similar situation over there where you guys had the American East Player. He's not even the leading scorer in the team. So you would think, okay, maybe focus on shutting Tyler Kolek down. Well, guess what? Marquette's had 13 games where Kolek wasn't even in double-digit scoring, and they won most of those games. So you can't necessarily look there to shut him down. They have the 6th man of the year in the Big East as well, David Joplin, coming off the bench, a guy who can get hot from 3 himself and knows how to score the basketball. So if someone's not doing it, they got other guys to bring in. Stevie Mitchell is one of the best defenders. He didn't get Defensive Player of the Year. He went to Kalkbrenner, but we gave him the unofficial Defensive Player of the Year because he's such a pest at the guard. But then you got a guy, Sean Jones, who comes off the bench who's just as pesky on the defensive end. So they have a lot of weapons in a lot of different areas. Maybe not one of those top echelon, going to be a high pick in the draft type guys. But you got a lot of guys who can do a lot of different things out there on the floor. They're very versatile. They don't need to score to be successful. They don't need to do anything specific. They just do whatever it takes. And, obviously any team has an opportunity to win games. My whole thing about a matchup like this and any matchup like this is that the lower seeded team, in Marquette in this case, they have to respect their opponent. You have to respect Vermont. You have to respect that they can beat you. And I think if you come out with that attitude, you should be okay.
Who's the more accomplished Marquette University hooper, you or Dwayne Wade?
It'll easily be Dwayne Wade. Not a question.
Hey, this might be the dumbest question I've ever asked, but I find it fascinating. I'm doing research on Marquette last night. There's a city of Marquette, but Marquette, the university, is not in it. Marquette is in Milwaukee, and Milwaukee and Marquette cities are not even near each other?
That is true. Marquette is nowhere near Milwaukee. They're way up north Yeah, we're everybody always says that. I think most people think we're in Michigan most of the time when I hear it. Like Marquette, Michigan? No, we're in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Hey, let me ask you a little bit about your NBA career. Obviously, here we're following the Celtics, so we're deep into it. Spent a decade in the NBA yourself. Just talk to me a little bit about being around in 90s basketball. You're Magic Johnson's teammate. You're playing against Jordan, young Kobe, young Iverson. What was it like 90s basketball?
Man, it was fun. Obviously, you're a young kid trying to make your way, and I come onto the team, and I'm behind Magic. Now I got to try to beat Magic out in practice. We know that's not happening, right? So now I got to figure out a way to get on the floor. So I turned myself into a defensive player, and I got some good minutes as a rookie. We went to the finals. Obviously, I was tasked to go in and try to stop Jordan. I think I did a good job. I held him to like 30, so that's not bad. But it was fun, man. And like I say, all the names that that played in the 90s. I played with Magic, Worthy, Byron Scott. I played with Barkley in Phoenix. So I had a handful of those Hall of Fame teammates, and then played against the rest of them. So it was a fun time. Different game back then. There's no doubt. It was still more so a big man game where the big man was the focus. You were throwing the ball inside more than you were looking to chuck up threes. So, but, the game has evolved. It's a different game. Still a fun game to watch. Still love watching NBA basketball. But, yeah, 90s was fun.
You were on the Bucks radio team for a couple of years, and as Celtics fans here, we are worried about the Bucks because right now they're 1-2 in the Eastern Conference. I believe you got to see a very young and raw Giannis. If I'm right in that, what was Giannis like at the very beginning, and did you ever see this level of greatness?
Yeah, I was actually I was not on Bucks radio. I was on Bucks TV pre and post for Fox Sports. But I saw when Giannis first got in there, and he was just a little skinny guy, and you're like, okay, what can this guy do? He doesn't shoot it. Okay, he's not an inside guy. He's not a post up guy. What is he? It was kind of like, okay, we don't know what he's going to be, but. Now you see what he's transforming into, a guy just who cannot be stopped getting to the rim, and he just attacks, and there really doesn't seem to be anybody that can stop him, especially after, they went through the Atlanta series where they built the wall, and all of a sudden that became the whole thing, right? Just build a wall where he can't drive. Well, people seem to have figured that out, and Giannis has gotten around that stuff as well. So he just continues to evolve, getting stronger. He's now taking some 3-point shots. He's making some 3-point shots. But, when they picked up former Marquette great Jay Crowder, right. I called it then. I have my radio show every day here in Wisconsin on ESPN Milwaukee, and I said, that's it. Bucks are going to win it. I mean, they're just too deep right now, and they're healthy. Middleton, the last couple games, I think he's been looking like the old Middleton. And if you get the old Middleton back, I mean, and now you got Jay Crowder to add depth, I think the league's in trouble.
Well, we'll follow the Celtics and Bucks battle as we go through the next couple of months. We'll be following UVM and Marquette tomorrow, 2:45, Columbus, Ohio. Tony Smith, Marquette radio personality and former Marquette legend and former NBA player as well. Tony, man, appreciate it. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the tournament.
Yeah, Brady, thanks. Appreciate you guys having me, and play well, guys.
Yeah, well, hopefully they will. So Tony Smith with us here. A lot of good stuff there. The crew going to cut it up a little bit. We'll have a recap of the Tony Smith interview. A couple things I want to react to. One thing I very much agree with. One thing I very much disagree with from Tony Smith. We'll talk about that in the 6 o'clock hour. As I said, though, at the start of the show, if UVM can watch these games that are going on today, these results, these games should give UVM confidence going into tomorrow. Princeton is within 3 of Arizona with 6 minutes to play. 15th seeded Princeton is down 51-48 with 2nd seeded Arizona. If Princeton can do that, if Furman can beat Virginia, why can't UVM give Marquette a game? Why can't they? We've seen it. We've seen Hampton beat Iowa State. We've seen Florida Gulf Coast beat Georgetown. We've seen St. Peter's beat Kentucky and roll all the way to the Elite Eight. If Princeton can do this in this tournament with Arizona, why can't UVM do this with Marquette tomorrow? It's absolutely possible. Is it likely? No. But is it possible? Yes. And if I'm a UVM player today, I'm watching these games saying, damn, I can do that as well. It's the Brady Farkas Show on DEV. The Patriots, got some takes on them. We'll get to that next.
96.1 WDEV FM Warren, 96.5 W243 AT Barrie, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury.
On the Hour, sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance.
I'm Christopher Cruz in Washington. American officials say an apparent attack on a U.S. drone by Russian fighter jets was completely inappropriate. On CBS's The Takeout with Major Garrett, NSC spokesman John Kirby said the U.S. isn't concerned about Russia's recovery of parts of the drone.
Whatever would be left on the surface would likely be flight control surfaces, pieces of wings or the fuselage. Doubtful that's going to be of any value to anybody.
Some large national banks are stepping in to rescue a struggling regional bank, says CBS's Jason Brooks.
11 banks are combining to give First Republic $30 billion in deposits after the bank lost 80% of its stock value over the past week on fears that depositors would withdraw their money following the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. Bank of America, Citigroup, JP Morgan Chase, and Wells Fargo are providing the biggest boosts at $5 billion each.
The CDC says the nation's maternal death rate rose sharply in 2021, and the death rates for black women were more than twice as high as those of white women. The March of Dimes' Dr. Elizabeth Chereau.
When you look at COVID and look at our healthcare system, you're looking at those health disparities with race, and we have a problem in the United States.
In Virginia, attorneys for the family of a black man who died in police custody say video shows 7 sheriff's deputies engaged in, quote, absolute brutality. Attorney Ben Crump is representing the family of Irvo Otierno.
The weight of 7 individuals on his body while he's face down, handcuffed with leg irons. And you say, my God, why?
In horse racing, the size of the jockey matters.
He has been proclaimed the world's tallest jockey.
I think so, yeah. So I'd be about 6'4", but the average would be around 5'6", 5'7".
Being tall does present a key problem, though, for Jack Andrews: weight.
You have to make a certain weight every time you ride. And I'd have a very strict diet. I eat the same things most days. Breakfast would be yogurt, fruit, and granola.
Today was a big day for Andrews. He took part in a major race in the UK, but his horse pulled up and didn't finish. Steve Futterman, CBS News.
The U.S.-based satellite launch company Virgin Orbit has suspended its operations and laid off almost all of its employees. It's now searching for funding to keep going. Its launch of the first satellites into orbit from Europe failed in January after its rocket's upper stage shut down prematurely. After a very bumpy start on Wall Street, stocks closed the day up sharply. The Dow up more than 1%, S&P 500 up more than 1 3/4%, and the Nasdaq closed up almost 2.5%. This is CBS News.
Nobody should have to pay for one-size-fits-all insurance coverage. Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
What do you mean he went searching for fresher powder? We have full classes today.
Instructor down at Vesper Ski School.
Toward each other to snowplow, honey, not away.
She needs more ski instructors to slalom through the day-to-day.
Pizza, fries. Whoa, Braley, no, pizza.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than yours.
Spilled your milkshake? Quick, the quicker picker upper. Bounty picks up spills quicker. And each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less than the leading Ordinary brand. So you can get back to your milkshake.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than yours.
Bounty, the quicker picker upper.
There are some new entries on the list of most contaminated produce.
Strawberries once again top the Dirty Dozen list, the nonprofit environmental working group's rundown of non-organic produce with the most pesticides. Spinach continues at number 2. It's followed by 3 other leafy greens, kale, collard, and mustard. And for the first time, blueberries and green beans join the list at 11th and 12th. According to the report, traces of a total of 210 pesticides were found in the foods. Researchers say they include potential risk for hormone dysfunction, cancer, and brain and nervous system development in children. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
Number 1 on the group's Clean 15 list, avocados. The UN's International Atomic Energy Agency says its inspectors have discovered that 10 drums containing about 2.5 tons of natural uranium are missing from a site in Libya. A ton of natural uranium can be refined to about 12 pounds of weapons-grade material. Christopher Cruz, CBS News.
Make your opinion heard by texting onto the Brady Farkas Show at 802-585-3026.
This is former NFL wide receiver Keyshawn Johnson, and now we're back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV Radio and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com, brought to you by Fecto Homes. Princeton within 3 still of Arizona, a little less than 5 minutes to play in that one. We'll continue to keep you posted. Arkansas up a few points on Illinois as well. So we'll give you the updates on what's happening. A reminder, in about an hour, we're going to have our coverage of March Madness. You'll be able to listen to all the action tonight here on DEV. Duke begins play at 7:10, so that'll be the first game that we pick up. But there will be, I believe, a whip-around coverage of action tonight, taking you through all the rest of the games here. So have a good overnight session here on DEV. Mary over in Randolph says, I've got Princeton beating Arizona. I've also got 4 winners right, and all the first, I had the first 4 winners right of the day as well. Congratulations to you, Mary. That's certainly, if you had Furman and now you'll have Princeton, good for you. I got to say, Arizona, whether they win this game or not, Arizona is always a disappointment in the tournament. Now, I believe they played well last year. I think they made it to the Elite 8, but it might have just been the Sweet 16. And I do not want to sound stereotypical, but I really feel like West Coast basketball teams for the last decade have been largely irrelevant in the tournament. Does it feel that way? The Pac-12 in general just hasn't felt that good. The West Coast teams just seemed a little bit soft. There have been outliers. Oregon, I believe, got to a Final Four. USC has gone deep into the tournament at least once. So it has happened. UCLA got to a Final Four, I believe, and played a great game with Gonzaga. So it has happened where you have had West Coast teams be good. But a West Coast team hasn't won the title, I think, since 95 when Arizona did it last. Washington has become irrelevant. Washington State is irrelevant. Oregon State is irrelevant. San Diego State is always a nice story, but they don't really ever go that far. Arizona State is irrelevant. Utah is irrelevant. We had a good run from Nevada one year as a mid-major, but that UNLV is irrelevant. Like, it just feels like the West Coast teams, St. Mary's, Gonzaga, they got to a title game, but they haven't been able to break down the door, and they got thumped in that title game by Georgia, and I think they lost another one in North Carolina. So there have been West Coast teams that have been good. Don't get me wrong. But I just feel like if we're looking for teams that constantly disappoint, I would point to the Big Ten. Has some teams that disappoint. Purdue, Iowa always seem to be out early. And then a lot of the West Coast teams. Again, I may be wrong. I may be being stereotypical, but it just feels like, as somebody who, does brackets and watches this, it just feels like some of these teams are constantly coming up short. Kyle in South Burlington wants me to talk about the World Baseball Classic. We are going to get to the Edwin Diaz injury here in about 10 minutes as Princeton pulls within a point. But I do want to start here with the Patriots. I have a question for the Patriots. We're a couple of days into free agency. I just have a simple question. What are the Patriots' goals for the 2023 season? That is a simple question. And the question was spurred by our friend Phil Perry of NBC Sports Boston, who I was watching last night, and I heard him talk about this very same question, and here's what he said.
I would say if you're taking an honest look at your roster, odds are you're not as talented as the other teams, not only in your conference, but in your division now if they get Aaron Rodgers down in New York. So that's my question. Are they desperate to get into the postseason to make some noise, Bert, or are they still building? If you're still building and you want to be patient because you don't want to blow things up 3 years down the road, there is merit in that approach. I just think things, given how the ownership has been feeling lately, things should be a little bit more urgent.
It's a good discussion, and I agree with there's a lot of different layers to this, but I agree at the front of the conversation with what Phil said at the end there. The Patriots' approach should be more urgent. Robert Kraft is not looking to wait around. He has said that. He has said, I don't like that we haven't won a playoff game since the 2018 season. He's talked about having more urgency. He's talked about being better in the draft. Robert Kraft greenlit a big spending spree in 2021. He wants to win. Robert Kraft is also 81 years old. I can't imagine he's looking to kick this thing in a rebuilding mode 3-4 years down the road. He wants to see this team be good, like it's been good, like he feels he has an obligation to make it good, and he wants to see it be good here while he is young enough to still enjoy it. So I agree with Phil. The Patriots' approach should be urgent. The approach should be to win as a result of that urgency, but it does not appear to be. So I ask you again, what are the goals of this Patriots team? What is Bill Belichick trying to accomplish? Is the goal to have a winning record? Is the goal to just be competitive? Is the goal to just make the playoffs? It might be any or all of those things, but for me, it does not feel like the goal is the ultimate goal of winning the Super Bowl, of being really competitive deep into the playoffs. That should be the goal, and it doesn't feel like it is, because the Patriots aren't attacking anything like that is their goal, and that should be it. The Patriots should be wanting to win the Super Bowl. They drafted a quarterback in the first round in 2021. They did that for the sake of resetting things. They did that for the sake of trying to give themselves a path to the Super Bowl, or so I thought. That is a path that several teams in the last decade have taken, and the Patriots haven't seemed to figure it out. Okay? When the Patriots drafted Mac Jones, I thought, hey, 5 years, rookie contract, be able to supplement, do all the things that all these other teams have done, right? Rams got to a Super Bowl that way. Philly got to a Super Bowl that way. Seattle, San Francisco, they all got to Super Bowls with the rookie contract model. I thought when the Patriots got a rookie contract quarterback, they were going to do the same thing, and they haven't really done it. They haven't been able to supplement the team or supplement Mac Jones with the kind of talent that he needs in order to win. The Patriots should be right in the thick of their window, and they seem to be squandering that chance. The Bengals got to a Super Bowl and an AFC title game with Burrow. The Bills have been awesome with Josh Allen, even on a rookie contract. The Chiefs, the same when Mahomes was on a rookie contract. The Patriots are not even close. It feels like the Patriots are squandering their opportunity. It doesn't feel like they are a team that's super invested in getting back to the top. And that's what's frustrating to me. So I ask again, what is the goal? Because the Philadelphia Eagles last year had a goal. They wanted to get to the Super Bowl, or they wanted to play deep into the playoffs. They went out and got A.J. Brown. They added on defense. They continued adding in the season. They accomplished their goal. The Bengals wanted to be a lot better a couple of years ago. They went and added. They got better. Oh, we need a better offensive line so we can get back. They went out and they added more. Other teams are adding with the intention of getting deep into the playoffs, and the Patriots just aren't. And Albert Breer said something interesting yesterday, too. Breer, the Monday morning quarterback.
I worry a little bit about an outdated approach here, and like an approach that maybe is built from the time when you had Tom Brady, where you could get by with just good, not great players in skill positions like the Chiefs are doing now and bringing in Juju Smith-Schuster and Marquez Valdez-Scantling and trading away Tyreek Hill. You look at the Chiefs, it's like, okay, we can get by with a little less because we're paying our quarterback. The Patriots seem to still be operating that way, even though they don't have Tom Brady anymore. And then you look at the offensive line. It's like a Dante Scarnecchia fix-everything approach to the tackle position, where you see what the Chiefs are doing. Again, I'm going to use the Chiefs as the model here. The Chiefs went and spent on Orlando Brown. They spent draft picks. They spent money on Orlando Brown. Did it work out great? No, but they were good enough at the left tackle position to win.
I don't like to hear that. Albert Breer is really smart. He knows this organization. I don't like to hear that. We have talked forever. We have talked for years about Bill Belichick being ahead of the curve. We've talked about Bill Belichick being innovative. We talked about him zigging while others zag. But in this case, he does not seem to be operating that way. He has to know that having a cheap quarterback affords you the luxury of going out and spending. And the Patriots aren't doing it, right? They did it a couple of years ago, and they did it wrongly, apparently. But some of those players are now gone, right? The Nelson Aguilar money is gone. So some of the guys they spent on aren't here anymore. Devin McCourty's gone now. They have more money available. He's got to know that having a cheap quarterback means you can go out and bring in a ton of talent, and the Pats aren't doing that. He just seems to be bringing the skimpiness of the Tom Brady era into an era when he doesn't have to. And that is very, very frustrating. It doesn't make any sense. The Patriots have good players. Of course they do. Every team in the NFL has some good players. But the Patriots, it's not enough to just have good players. You have to have good players and you have to have some stars. And the Patriots don't really have that. Juju Smith-Schuster is a good player. He's not a star. He's not a difference maker. The only difference maker maybe the Patriots have is Judon, maybe Duggar. I mean, the Patriots have good players. The Patriots have nice pieces. They don't have difference makers. Other teams have difference makers. I mean, I talk about Juju Smith-Schuster a second ago. Listen to what Phil Perry said yesterday about Juju.
This doesn't make him better. It's essentially the same guy. Since Jacoby Myers got into the league in 2019, they are the same player. Mm-hmm. They are 5 catches, 50 yards per game, about the same guy. And even if you break it down even more finely and you look at last season and you look at these guys and their performances on 3rd and 4th down, those critical situations where Jacoby Myers was so critical to this offense. Again, essentially the same guy.
I mean, that's basically what we said yesterday, right? It's basically what we said yesterday. Is Juju Smith-Schuster really an upgrade over Jacoby Myers? I don't think it's certainly a big one. You've got a lot of guys. You need some true dudes, and the Patriots right now just don't have that. Princeton is up 58-55 with 22 seconds left. Arizona has the ball. They're going to go either for a 3 or for a quick 2. Right now, they look like they're going for a 2. They pull it back out. There's 13 seconds to play. They take a forced 3, air ball. Arizona rebound. They've got it. 8 seconds to play. Arizona for the tie again. No good. The 15-seeded Princeton Tigers are on the verge of pulling an upset over the 2nd-seeded Arizona Wildcats. Princeton, out of the Ivy League, is about to beat Arizona. This is why we love March Madness, because things like this happen. And this doesn't happen in a lot of other sports, right? We certainly don't see it in a playoff setting, right? Because in the NBA, if you're this bad, you don't make the playoffs. Or if you're this small, you don't make the playoffs. Right here, we are seeing a massive underdog, and this is the only thing you really see is in this tournament. And that is why it's so special. Not only can it happen, but it does happen, and it's about to happen again. And I tell you this one more time. If you are a Vermont player, if you are a Vermont fan, this game right here should give you optimism. Everybody thinks Marquette has a chance to just roll to the Final Four. Everybody thinks that Marquette is going to roll over you. But if Princeton can beat Arizona, why can't you beat Marquette? Why can't you? That's what game should absolutely give you confidence. If I'm Robin Duncan, if I'm Finn Sullivan, if I'm Dylan Penn, I am jacked up right now because I'm thinking, whoa. 15 seed is beaten a 2 already in this tournament. We can do it also. And that is the game. Princeton beats Arizona 59-55. Cinderella dancing in the Ivy League. Congratulations to Marion Randolph, who had that one in her bracket. I certainly didn't. I had Arizona in the final in one bracket. I might have had them in the Final Four in another bracket. Like I believed in Arizona getting there, but I just told you that some of these West Coast teams seem notoriously soft over the last several years, and Arizona's one of them. And here they are. They bid it again. So congratulations to the Princeton Tigers, and hopefully UVM can, pick up a little magic pixel dust tomorrow. All right. I got a texter who had a random question. Since it was on football, I'll answer it here. Rick in Plattsburgh. I'm a Jets fan, Brady. I'm in New York. Do you think Aaron Rodgers is a good deal for the Jets? Well, first off, it depends on what the compensation actually ends up being. So, right, we don't know yet. Aaron Rodgers, it's going to cost the Jets at least a first-round pick. I don't know what else. I think it's probably a good deal no matter what. The money is the issue to me, not so much the draft picks. If the Jets win the Super Bowl, then it's a great deal no matter what happens. The Jets win the Super Bowl this year, and then 3 years from now, they're in cap hell and and are out picks, so be it. If they win the Super Bowl, it's instantly justified. If they don't win the Super Bowl, I think it's still probably worth the risk. The Jets have been looking for a quarterback for a long time. Right? They've gone through, we like Chad Pennington. But they've gone through Pennington, and they've gone through Fitzpatrick and Sanchez and the kid they drafted out of Baylor who ended up not being very good, and Christian Hackenberg, and they've tried all these guys that haven't worked. I think having Aaron Rodgers is the closest the Jets have been in a long time. I think this deal is probably worth it no matter what. If you win the Super Bowl, it definitely is. If you don't win, then, I think this is probably your best chance. Ralph says, it's exciting to watch games like this, plus the warmer weather is coming. I love March Madness. These are the best 2 days of the year, right? Thursday and Friday of the tournament are the best 2 sports days of the year, right? Stanley Cup finals are great. That's a 2-week-long event. NBA finals are great. That's a 2-week-long event. World Series is great. It's a 2-week-long event. Super Bowl is great. I like these 2 days better than the Super Bowl, right? If my team's not in it, then these 2 days are better than Super Bowl Sunday. And that's just how I see it. So these are awesome. We're going to get back into college basketball. We're going to talk about UVM here in about 10 minutes. We had a guest on in the last hour, Tony Smith, and I want to agree with one thing he said and disagree with another thing that he said. Scott says, I grew up in Princeton. Our family has had a place in Vermont since 1925. Awesome job, Tigers. I followed them since the Pete Carrill days. I think Pete Carrill's his last tournament, right? The motion offense, the Princeton offense. I think his last tournament win was 96 against UCLA, perhaps. Scott, you might know that better than me, but I think off the top of my head, Princeton won a game 96 against UCLA. The Princeton motion offense, the backdoor cut towards the end there, that was pretty good. I know they beat him that year. I just got a question if Pete Carrill was the coach, but there you go. All right, let's get to who's saying what, because I want to get into some of this baseball stuff quickly.
Whoa. What did he say?
What is he doing? He's stealing money. What the hell is he doing? He should have gotten his surgery. They were out of it in August. Why did they get the surgery done in August? They could have played beginning of the year.
Preacher.
That's a joke with him.
They really said that?
Every damn thing is politics and race. And I'm losing my mind over it.
It's time for Who's Saying What on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
All right, so every Thursday I speak to Buster Olney of ESPN. You know this, but today I spoke to Buster super early in the morning, and we didn't play the interview live here because we wanted to have Tony Smith on. So Buster's interview is available on our podcast channel on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and WDEVradio.com. By now, you have seen this news, I'm sure. Last night, World Baseball Classic, last game of pool play. Puerto Rico beats the Dominican Republic. That sends Puerto Rico to the next round. It sends the Dominican Republic home. It's a massive upset to not have the Dominicans in the next round. So Puerto Rico beats the Dominican. Edwin Diaz, who's the closer for the Mets, is celebrating the victory with his Puerto Rico teammates. He gets hurt. He is now going to miss the entire season. He tore his patellar tendon. The best reliever in baseball is now out for the entire season, and a Mets team that is hoping to win the World Series is now out, the best reliever in all of baseball. So that is the situation. It's a horrific injury. It's a horrific sight. I feel awful for Diaz. I feel awful for the Mets. I feel awful for Mets fans, and it underscores the risk that players take in playing in the World Baseball Classic. And I spoke with Buster about this today.
Whatever your perspective is, you're right. If you feel like WBC is a vehicle that advances the sport, brings more interest, excites fans, certainly more than the sleepy exhibition games that we see, then I think you'd be right. And if you're a team, if you're the New York Mets today, and you wake up and you don't have the best closer in baseball, and that's what Edwin Diaz is, the highest paid reliever in the history of baseball, and you don't have him going into this incredibly competitive National League East season, then you also, you can't blame the Mets for saying, wait a second, we're not comfortable with this happening, away from our camp.
Kyle in South Burlington says, Brady, he's the Mets on the hook for his $100 million contract. He may never be the same again. Imagine if this is Rafael Devers. So he's basically talking about the risk in the World Baseball Classic as well. Let me just address what Buster said first. I think Buster is right. As I have said on a bunch of topics in the last 3 years this show has existed, two things can be true at the same time. And that's what Buster said, and Buster is right. However you feel today, you are correct. If you are someone who is loving the World Baseball Classic, keep loving it because it is fun and it's way better than watching spring training games. And if you are someone who is ticked and upset and worried because you think the World Baseball Classic is an unnecessary risk, then I get that too. You are both right. I will just give you my perspective on this whole thing. I am nervous about my favorite team's players playing in the World Baseball Classic. I am. As a Mariners fan, I was afraid of Julio Rodriguez playing for the Dominican Republic. I was afraid of Diego Castillo pitching for the DR. I was afraid of Matt Brash pitching for Team Canada. I'm still afraid of Eugenio Suarez playing in this tournament for Venezuela. I am afraid of my favorite team, who I want to win the World Series, having players get hurt during spring training. As a Red Sox fan, I was afraid that Rafael Devers was playing in this. I was afraid that Masataka Yoshida was playing for Japan in this. I absolutely am nervous about guys going to the World Baseball Classic. But that said, I like this event, and I will continue to support this event, and I will continue to be supportive of my favorite players playing in it. Yes, I am nervous. I understand there is a risk that what happened to Edwin Diaz can happen to a Red Sox player that I love and that they need, or a Mariners player that I love and they need. I know there's a risk, but despite that, I will continue to support guys playing in things like this. Look, this is just reality. Baseball players play baseball, and baseball players do baseball things, and they can get hurt anytime they are doing that. You cannot, in my opinion, blame the World Baseball Classic for an injury to Edwin Diaz. Guys get hurt at spring training all the time. Gavin Lux for the Dodgers was running the bases at spring training, blew out his ACL, out for the season. That's horrible. It's a baseball player doing a baseball thing on a baseball field, and he got hurt. And it can happen at the World Baseball Classic, and it can happen at spring training, and it can happen in winter ball. Look, Ronald Acuna Jr. of the Braves was playing winter ball in Venezuela. He absolutely could have been hurt there. Trevor Story got hurt for the Red Sox, getting ready for the season, playing, taking ground balls on some, high school field or something. Baseball players doing baseball things can get hurt. Guys can get hurt weightlifting. Guys can get hurt throwing bullpens. Guys go to train at the Driveline Academy in Seattle and learn how to throw harder, and they're throwing weighted balls, and guys can get hurt doing that. So unfortunately, when players are doing something athletic, they have a risk of getting hurt. It's not just the World Baseball Classic's fault. Edwin Diaz could have been at spring training and blown out his patellar tendon. He could have been at spring training and stepped wrong and hurt his knee. Mike Soroka for the Braves got hurt. He tore his Achilles walking to the clubhouse. Joel Zumaya missed a playoff game or got injured, was never the same because he hurt his wrist playing Guitar Hero. Guys get freak injuries all the time, and unfortunately, it's just a reality. I still love events like this. Paul George, you remember this? Paul George of the Clippers? He was playing for the Pacers back then, but he's playing for Team USA in a FIBA qualifying event. He blew out his knee and missed nearly the entire season. That's horrible. But I still endorse NBA players playing in these kind of competitions. I love NBA players at the Olympics. It's off season. It's all the NBA guys. It's a risk, but I enjoy it, and I will continue to support it. I liked watching Kevin Durant play. I like watching Luka play. I like watching Jokic play. Rudy Gobert was playing for France. All these players were in Tokyo, and I loved it. I think most of us agree that having NHL players at the Olympics is more fun than having amateur players at the Olympics. And every single NHL guy that plays in the Olympics is at risk. But I will continue to support it. It's horrible what happened to Edwin Diaz. But that doesn't mean, in my opinion, the whole tournament is bad or that we shouldn't have it. Guys get injured playing sports, and that's unfortunate. Ralph says the same thing, same with the Olympics. Yeah, NBA, NHL guys. Now, the NHL guys haven't been in the Olympics for the last 2, but you know what I mean. Right? Like, they were in the Olympics for a long time, and I supported it then. I'm not going to be a hypocrite now. Yes, I am nervous that a guy that I look, Drew Smyly was a pitcher for the Mariners in 2017, blew out his arm in the World Baseball Classic, never pitched for the Mariners. That stinks. And I was mad about it. But I still believe these events are ultimately good. Kyle says, are the Mets on the hook for his $100 million contract? Well, yeah, he's got fully guaranteed money. I mean, he's getting his money. I just don't know about how the insurance works and things like that. There's insurance on contracts like that. So I'm sure the Mets are getting something back, but it's not going to affect their, their salary situation, their luxury tax situation. They're screwed in that regard. They're going to pay $30 million for a guy who's not going to pitch for them this year. And that's going to impact their luxury tax. But as far as, they're going to get some kind of insurance on that for sure. It is the Brady Farkas Show, brought to you by Fecto Homes on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. UVM taking on Marquette less than 24 hours from now. Tony Smith, who used to play at Marquette, told us something in the last hour. One thing I completely agree with, and one thing I completely disagree with. I'll tell you what those are next here on DEV.
The Lamoille Valley Gun Show is back. Collectors and sportsmen buy, sell, and trade this Saturday and Sunday. Browse through nearly 200 tables of new and used, modern and antique firearms, hunting equipment, and accessories. Stop by this Saturday, March 18th from 9 to 5, Sunday, March 19th from 9 to 2 at the Champlain Valley Expo in Essex Junction. Just $10 for adults, children under 12 free. The Gun and Outdoor Sportsman Show this Saturday and Sunday, March 18th and 19th, presented by the Lamoille Valley Fish and Game Club.
At Union Bank, they've served Vermont communities since 1891. As the leading Vermont-based community bank for mortgage loans in Vermont, they act quickly, provide personalized customer care, and have the digital banking services that you need. Now, for a limited time, lock in a 12-month CD at 4.0 annual percentage yield and 3.92% interest rate. This offer is available online only, so go to ublocal.com and click Open an Account. See website for details. That's ublocal.com. Union Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
The WDEV studio is sponsored by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont's largest independent home center, powered by Marvin Doors and Windows. Go to sticksandstuff.com for store locations and hours.
Hi, I'm Yvonne from VSECU, a credit union for everybody in Vermont. CDs, MMAs, IRAs. It can be hard to know what's what and which savings is best for you. So here's a quick rundown. CD. It's a certificate of deposit. Great option if you don't need immediate access to your savings because you're parking your money for a certain period of time in exchange for a higher fixed rate of return. MMA, a money market account. It usually pays a higher rate than a savings account with a limited number of monthly transactions, and typically it's used for larger saving amounts. IRAs, individual retirement accounts. They offer great tax benefits while saving for your retirement. Great option if your employer doesn't offer you a retirement plan. At VSECU, we have all of these saving options. Learn more at vsecu.com/save. Make change simply by banking with VSECU.
Federally insured by the NCUA.
20 years ago, I came to Hardwick and fulfilled my dream of becoming a Ford dealer. Thanks to our incredible team and loyal customers, Lamoille Valley Ford is now one of the highest volume dealers in New England, and I could not be more proud. To celebrate, we are bringing back our customers' favorite sale. Tell them, kid.
That's right, folks. Early this year, Dan challenged our teams to reach 400 new vehicles delivered by April 30th, and we're pulling out all the stops to make deals. Right now, at Lamoille Valley Ford, we have close to 500 new and used vehicles to choose from, including a huge selection of Bronco Sports, Escapes, Explorers, plus over 200 Ford F-Series trucks. Lamoille Valley Ford is taking $3,000 off MSRP on any in-stock 2022 F-150. Combine that with factory discounts and incentives, and you can take up to $6,500 off MSRP. Qualified buyers can combine that discount with 0% financing. Take it from me. We became Vermont's largest Ford dealer by finding a way to make a deal and earn your business.
Woo! So drive Route 14, 15, or 16 to Hardwick and get a great deal during the 20th annual Car, Truck, and SUV Challenge happening now at Lamoille Valley Ford.
As Vermonters, we know that so much depends on the weather. When you need a reliable local weather forecast, it's literally at your fingertips with the WDEV weather phone. Locally dial 244-1172 or toll free at 1-800-585-1211. Roger Hill's weather forecast is just a phone call away on the WDEV weather phone, 244-1172 or 1-800-585-1211.
Want Brady to hear your opinion on the sports stories of the day? Text in at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
I have a question for the room. Welcome back into the Brady Farkas Show, and you can get in on this question, 802-585-3026 on the Napa Morrisville Napa Waterbury text line. So Princeton, a 15 seed, has just beaten Arizona, a 2 seed. UVM is a 15 seed, looking to beat Marquette, a 2 seed. Now, I know if I am a UVM player or a UVM coach, I am looking at this and saying, wow, a 15 has beaten a 2. We absolutely can do it. If I'm a UVM player or coach, that result is giving me confidence. My question is now, as a UVM fan, how should I feel? Should I feel excited because, hey, a 15 beating a 2 and now I know it can happen for us? Or should I be thinking, 15's beating a 2 and now it's already happened and it's probably not likely to happen twice? That's what I want to know. If I'm a player or coach, that's absolutely going to motivate me and show me that I can. As a fan who's playing the odds, I'm like, do I really want? Did I got maybe 115 over a 2 a year, and now it's already been used. Do I think we're going to get it twice? That's a lot. That's a lot tougher. I tend to lean that way, but again, as a player, I know how I'm feeling. I'm absolutely motivated if I'm a UVM player. We had Tony Smith on in the last hour, and Tony Smith is a player or a former player for Marquette. Now he's on the Marquette radio broadcast. He spent a decade in the NBA. And I asked him, I said, hey, how long does UVM have to keep this game close in order to make Marquette sweat? At what point does Marquette get nervous and tight? Here's what he said.
Yeah, this is Marquette just absolutely went through the gauntlet of the Big East tournament, where the first game against St. John's, they were in major trouble. They had to come back and win that game. And then the second game, obviously, was also a tight ball game. So they've been in tough ball games all year long. They've been down at half several times this season. I think they're 8-4 in games that they've been down at halftime. So unfortunately for Vermont, I don't believe there's going to be a nervous factor with this Marquette team. Shaka has these guys kind of seasoned pretty well. And again, their record and their track record, not necessarily wins, losses, but just being in tough games all year long where they've been down in certain situations, they just do not get rattled.
Yeah, I completely disagree with that. Tony Smith says this team won't get rattled. They're used to playing in the gauntlet of the Big East. If it's the NCAA tournament and a 15 seed is playing close with you, you will absolutely be tight. I I wholeheartedly disagree with what Tony says there. He says this team is prepared. They're battle-tested. They're used to playing close games. Yeah, they are. In a conference scenario where you know you have another game, where you know you're going to make the tournament no matter what happens, in a game against UConn, yes, that is true. You're prepared to play close conference games in December with Providence and UConn. This is March. This is a winner-take-all, and you have all the pressure. If this game is close, Marquette will absolutely get tight. Arizona, very good team, just got beat by Princeton. Clearly, they were feeling the last 4 or 5 minutes of that game. Bad shots, turnovers, poor passing, bad defense, commit fouls. That will happen to Marquette, too, if this game is close. The question is, how long does it have to be close for before that sets in? Right? I think UVM's got to be within 5 at the half. Right? If they're within 5 at the half, I'd feel pretty good. I don't want to see them down 10. If they're within 5, I'll feel good. At the 10-minute mark of the game, if it's within 3 or 4, does that when Marquette starts to get tight? Do they start to get tight at the 6-minute mark? But at some point, they will get tight. If Marquette comes out and takes their best swing and UVM does not back down, if Marquette comes out and goes on a blitz and can't turn UVM over, if Marquette comes out and can't overwhelm them athletically, if Marquette comes out and can't put them away early, then at some point, frustration and a realization is going to set in that, oh boy, we're going to be in for a game. And when you are the 2 seed, you are absolutely thinking in the back of your mind, we can't be this year's embarrassment. Those thoughts will creep into your head when you are such a heavy favorite. At some point, it will stop being about basketball and it will just become about trying to avoid embarrassment. And Tony Smith says that's not going to happen. That's not true. That is going to happen if this game is close. Now, maybe Marquette comes out and blows them out. But if this game is close, Marquette will be feeling it. That happens every year in the tournament. Higher seed begins to feel it, feels the pressure, doesn't want to be the team that gets embarrassed, doesn't want to be the team that everyone's talking about, doesn't want to be called the choke artist, doesn't want to go back to campus and have to hear about how they let everybody down. Arizona's about to go through it right now. Marquette will be thinking that at some point tomorrow if this game is close. Nate says, Becker will absolutely look at this and say to his guys, why UVM will go into this game more relaxed after seeing the outcome of Furman and Princeton. I agree with that. If I'm a UVM player or a UVM coach, as I said, I'm pointing to the results of today and saying, well, boys, anything can happen. Why not us? Nate's right. 13-seeded Furman can win. 15-seeded Princeton can win. 12-seeded College of Charleston plays a close game. Howard was at the half with Kansas. Why not us? Why not us? So I disagree with Tony Smith on that. There was one thing that Tony Smith said that I completely agree with, and it echoes and dovetails off what we said yesterday.
Yeah, they will. I mean, you're gonna have to get Vermont's gonna have to get some penetration to kind of break down that Marquette defense, and you guys got a pretty good point guard in Penn. He has the ability to break down defenders off the dribble, and that's where teams get in trouble. And not just Marquette, any team gets into trouble when they have an opposing guard or opposing player that gets in their paint and then is able to kick out, because Vermont also has a lot of three-point shooters, so I'm sure Marquette is going to be extra aware of giving up penetration, dribble penetration, and allowing for kick-out threes.
Yes, that's exactly what we said yesterday. If Vermont is going to win this game, if Vermont is going to keep this game close, they are going to have ball penetration, and Dylan Penn is the guy. We said it yesterday. If Vermont wins this game, Dylan Penn has to go off. And Tony Smith basically is telling you Dylan Penn has to go off. Because Vermont does not have a lot of guys that can take you off the dribble and get that penetration against a team like Marquette. Dylan Penn is the guy that can. And he's the guy that's going to need to. Because if he gets dribble penetration, he can go to the bucket and he can score himself. Or he can draw help and he can kick out to guys who can benefit from that. Barreto, Sullivan, Deloney, Those guys can hit the three, especially when they're open and defenses are rotating. But Dylan Penn has to get into the lane and has to be able to draw that help. That is one of the recipes for UVM in this game. It is a must, because let me tell you what happens if that doesn't happen. If that doesn't happen, we just see what we saw for all of November, which was bad offense. In November, UVM couldn't get to the hoop. Dylan Penn wasn't really a part of the offense because he was coming back from that broken hand, and it was a bunch of standstill jump shots with Vermont not able to offensive rebound. Vermont's offense started to change when Penn had the ball in his hands and was able to make more plays. If he can't get to the lane or doesn't get to the lane, they're going to become a stationary jump shooting team taking forced jumpers and not able to rebound, and they're going to get blown out if that happens. If they want to play with this team, Dylan Penn's got to get into the lane, and he's got to create, and he's got to create for his teammates, like Tony Smith says right there. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. We dive a little bit more into the Catamounts' offensive strategy, and I will offer up my prediction, and we'll do it next here on the Brady Farkas Show, brought to you by Fecto Homes on DEV.
Do you own land with a single or double wide home? Visit Fecto Homes, where they can guarantee you top dollar for your existing mobile home, regardless of the year. They offer many finance options with competitive rates and down payment assistance exclusively for mobile homes. Fecto Homes has several models for sale off the lot or customize and order your own. Make the most of your time and money. Visit them today at 350 River Street, Route 302 in Montpelier, or online at fectohomes.com.
Hi, folks. Dan and Pat Keene here from Lamoille Valley Chevy. About 20 years ago, we realized our dream of becoming an auto dealer. That's right, bro. And thanks to an incredible team of dedicated employees over 3 dealerships, we are proud to say our dealerships are some of the best in New England. With that said, the car, truck, and SUV challenge is now on at Lamoille Valley Chevy. Through April 30th, we have challenged our teams to make deals and reach 400 new vehicles delivered. Folks, right now at Lamoille Valley Chevy, we have the best selection of new Chevys on the lot in over 3 years, and we are making deals. And how about this? During the challenge, you can purchase or lease any new car or SUV in stock at Lamoille Valley Chevy, and it will include a $500 gas card. Even better, Lamoille Valley Chevy will double your gas card to $1,000 on any new Silverado in stock. That's huge. You heard Pat. Get a great deal and a $1,000 gas card during the 20th annual Car, Truck, and SUV Challenge going on now at Lamoille Valley Chevy, located just past Stowe and Morrisville in the beautiful town of Hyde Park, Vermont.
Corey and Zach lingered in foster care for years, longing for a permanent place to call home. They lost hope.
I felt alone in the world. I didn't feel loved. Every day felt like a lost cause. I thought, who would want to adopt an older child?
I thought, I'm going to end up on the streets. That's just how it's going to be.
Thankfully, Corey and Zach's journey changed when they were adopted with help from the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption.
It's really difficult to wonder how you're going to make it. I'm not going to have that problem now. I just won't, because I have a family.
Today, Corey and Zach have bright futures. But every year, thousands of youth age out of foster care with no permanent family and no safety net. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
Hi, it's Tara from Green Mountain Solar. Since day one, our goal has been to provide the best solar experience in Vermont. But you don't have to take our word for it. Here are a few of our customers sharing why they picked Green Mountain Solar.
From concept to completion, the overall experience with Green Mountain Solar was excellent, 5 stars. They took aesthetics into the equation. They were able to guesstimate, based on my annual consumption, a system that would produce enough energy that overall would balance itself out. I just was very happy from start to finish. I recommended them to one of my neighbors, and I think he got them too.
Hi, we're George and Mo Seabright.
And we've been very happy with Green Mountain Solar.
I would gladly recommend Green Mountain Solar to anybody that was considering putting solar in. Our experience with them overall has been excellent.
If this sounds like the solar experience you're looking for, visit our website at greenmtnsolar.com.
Local businesses advertise with WDEV because they get results. Glenn Meek of Stowe Insurance Group tells us why he advertises with WDEV.
They're heavily involved in the community like we like to be. We feel they're an excellent partner for our advertising dollars. The market penetration is second to none in Central Vermont. We've been with them for almost 40 years, and we hope to be with them for another 40 years.
Advertising with WDEV gets results. Inquire today at WDEV at radiovermont.com.
The Brady Farkas Show now has an interactive text line, so reach out now at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Reminder, our tournament coverage begins in 20 minutes. 7:10 is when we pick up the broadcast, so we'll have what I believe it is a whip-around coverage of all games in progress, and you'll hear a little bit of everything. But Duke takes the floor at 7:10 against Oral Roberts. Elsewhere, for the rest of the night in the tournament, Auburn and Iowa, that game's going to get going here momentarily. Colgate and Texas. Texas is a 2 seed, Colgate a 15. Boise State and Northwestern, Northern Kentucky and Houston, Louisiana Lafayette and Tennessee, Penn State and Texas A&M, and then UNC Asheville and UCLA. That's the late game tonight, slated for a 10:05 tip-off. So those are the games that you'll hear bits and pieces of here on DEV, and we'll do this again tomorrow night as well, with coverage also beginning at 7:10. I've been thinking about what I think UVM needs to do tomorrow against Marquette, and I've come down to two conclusions. One is fairly obvious. UVM needs to play good defense, right? That is self-explanatory. But UVM playing good defense will turn UVM into its best offensive opportunity. I believe that UVM needs to run on Marquette, and I believe that UVM needs to take a lot of threes, and I think a lot of them need to be quick into the shot clock. Not because I'm trying to create a track meet, but because I don't think that UVM is built to play in the half court with Marquette. Marquette is long. They're going to switch everything. That is going to make it difficult for UVM to find shots. The way to avoid that is to try to be in the half court as little as possible. So if UVM plays good defense, gets the rebound, can get out in transition, does not allow Marquette to set up defensively, because if Marquette scores, they get to walk back on defense and set up the half court. If they don't, UVM gets out in transition, pushes, and I think they will be able to find threes that way. I think UVM is going to need to shoot 30-plus threes in this game if they want a chance to win. And they're going to have to hit 10 to 12 of them, like Will Brown told us on Tuesday. That is the best chance. I do not believe that Vermont, against this Marquette team with this style of defense, is built to just play in the half court and use the whole shot clock. That's not where I'm coming from in this one. If I'm UVM, I want to play with pace. I want to get up and down. I want to take threes because I think in transition is my best chance to get open looks. I don't think there's going to be that many open looks coming if you are forced to play in the half court. We saw what this team looked like in the half court all in November, and it wasn't great. We saw what they looked like in the half court against Binghamton twice, and we heard John Becker say, this is the hardest defense for us to play, a team that can switch everything. That's what Marquette can and will do. If UVM wants to play with this team and wants to win, get up and down the court, get in transition, find the three. And then when you find it, you got to make it. Finn Sullivan, Aaron Deloney, Matt Ferretto, TJ Hurley, Nick Fiorillo off the bench, and Dylan Penn's going to have to hit a couple as well. I think this is a really tough draw for UVM. They absolutely can win this game. We have seen Princeton win. We have seen Furman win. They absolutely can win this game. And I am 100% a believer that they can keep this game close. That said, I think Marquette is going to win it. I do not think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be on par with the Vegas line. I think that Marquette is going to win this game 74-64. I've got a 10-point victory for Marquette, which all things considered, I think will be a pretty good showing for a 15 seed. But that said, again, UVM absolutely can win it. And if they are going to win it, they're going to have to get up and down the floor and hit a bunch of threes. Again, they're going to need to take 30 of them, I think, to win. And they're going to have to hit 10 to 12 of them. And then they got to do all the other little things. Can't get in foul trouble, got to make your own free throws, etc. That's the formula. That's the plan. We'll see if they can execute it. Tomorrow, when we come on the air, we will know what happened. The game's at 2:45, so by the time we get on at 5:30, the game will be over. And we will have had a chance. This will be the spot where we can get our first reactions together. I hope that I am wrong. I want nothing more than to be wrong. But we will see what happens. I can't wait for it. No matter what happens, I cannot wait for it. Catamounts have played Purdue, Florida State, and Arkansas in the time I've been here in the tournament. They haven't gotten one yet. I would love for the first to be tomorrow. This program deserves it. This program has been working for it. I hope this program gets it. The best win in program history is the win over Syracuse in 2005. It's time to make a new memory. This program needs a new memory. It needs a new best victory. And they can get that when they take on Marquette. So we will see how it goes. Thanks to Tony Smith, Marquette legend, for stopping by with us. Thanks to Buster Olney. Both those interviews are available on the podcast channel. What we are going to do is we are going to get a CBS News update from 7 until 7:10. Then at that point, that's when our NCAA tournament coverage starts, because that's what time the coverage starts, at 7:10. I'll see you tomorrow. Go Cats. It's the Brady Farkas Show on DEV.
Even when we can't be together, Vermont